We go. Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner, classic, lesser known classic. This is episode number 3036, Doubleshot 2930. Got two more books, both releasing stuff close to the same period of time. This book is quite interesting because, as far as I can tell, I've never actually discussed any of their actual books with a name on it per se. I've discussed the characters before and other stuff, but never talk about a trade for them. We have Cloak and Dagger, Runaways, and Reversals. Yep, these are various Cloak and Dagger books published from the period of, I think around mid-2000s to about 2016, I think it was. Yeah, a period of about 10 years. And these books are featuring Cloak and Dagger. So, yeah. So this book is all about Cloak and Dagger. Tandy and Tyrone. Yes. Actually, there was actually something before that, per se, from the 90s. First, we have Strange Tales, Dark Corners by Mike Baron, Alex Believe, with this wonderful cover artwork here by John Estes. There's also Marvel Doubleshot number 3, written and drawn by Peter Ross and Ryan Kelly. We have two Brian K. Vaughan books. We have Runaways 11 and 12 and Runaways Volume 2, issues 9 through 12. Their story from Dark in the beginning. The Cloak and Dagger one-shot by Stuart Moore, which came out in 2010, 15 years ago. A bunch of Dan Slott stuff. We have Amazing X-Men 663, Spider-Man Cloak and Dagger. The whole thing with 663, that's the pages of Amazing Spider-Man, the feature Cloak and Dagger, as part of the Infestation stuff. I think there's a backup story with that one. The Spider-Man Cloak and Dagger miniseries written by Nick Spencer, art by Amelia Ross. Dan Slott does these issues for Amazing Spider-Man 6 to 8. This is from Volume 4, I believe it was, and the annual, which is the last thing published here. Of course, Mike Baron, amazing writer. Still never in person. Mostly put, this is published back in the 90s. So, mostly put, it is basically Cloak and Dagger undercover to save these kids from drug dealers. Which, of course, there's this one bit here where the drug dealer sees Tandy. He's, rubbing her lip. And there's a shot of basically her where he's, looking at her. And, ooh, who's this beautiful babe? And then she fires his light at him. Don't put your eye on me. And eventually, of course, Cloak himself shows up and deal with drug dealers. And mostly put, basically, this is just sort of a reminder of them basically trying to stop what happened. Basically, preventing kids from what happened with them. Basically, it's kind of similar to a Batman effect actually that happened with other people, which is quite nice an issue. By the way, the book itself also features a backup story for Michael Morbius. Next up we have is Marvel Knights Doubleshot number 3, which is an amazing cover that features Cloak and Dagger and Elektra. This book is written by Peter Gross and Ryan Kelly. This cover is by Glenn Freiberg, which this artwork is gorgeous. I love this artwork. So, by the way, Elektra is not in the book. Doubleshot was basically kind of a split book, from what I can tell. Anthology book. Most of this one is basically Cloak and Dagger, Cloak without his cloak, by the way, which is something Brian K. Vaughan has to work on with that, which I'll get to. Mostly put basically their interacting with a retired superhero by saving this one building. Tandy is drawn very beautiful. I like how Tandy's drawn here. It's perfectly fine. They mostly with a threat from the past and clear up a neighborhood, and then eventually lead into the two-part Runaways issue. Mostly put, Runaways are basically requested by a basically LAPD officer to go to get the Runaways because they kidnapped Molly Hayes despite the fact that she was not really kidnapped by them. And they are fighting at one point. You have Cloak's cloak be removed forcibly the way Gertrude does it, which, according to Brian K. Vaughan, this is not happy for, despite the fact that you see him in his other book that I just showed you, and he is not wearing his cloak at all. He's basically wearing civilian clothes. I think for Brian K. Vaughan, this was a retcon. Yes. And this will follow up in the next volume. Because after this quick little two-parter, which featured Return of the Cloak and Dagger, which I don't think they were featured that much after those two short stories, which they were really good, by the way. Oh my freaking god, they were so freaking good. Now, the only reason why he featured them in here because, well, the main reason why is because because they were the original Runaways. That was pretty much the reason why they're featured here. Yeah, first major prison in years, but technically that was a bit of a lie because Cloak and Dagger were previously featured in Marvel Knights. Yep, believe it or not, prior to this very book, prior to appearing in Runaways, they were featured in Marvel Knights. Actually, well, they were featured in Marvel Knight Doubleshot, which that was released in 2002. And this came out about 2 years later. It's a first major appearance in years. I'm thinking that was probably a lie. Yes, by the way, the Dark Corners one-shot, I know this was 90s. This was released in 1998. Which, yes, my carbon said, oh yeah, also Garter had one there. I'll probably discuss this sometime later. Yeah, Double Edge, yes, it had Elektra story in there, which... Now, the whole thing with Elektra, hers was the A story, while this was the backup story. Yeah. Now, how long was Marvel Doubleshot per se? This was a limited series released from June to the September of 2002. It would have one more issue after this one, and then the book would end. But I love the Marvel Doubleshot. I thought it was really, really good. So after they kind of defeat the Runaways and they convince them, yeah, they're basically good people, and then of course basically then they're trapped by the Pride by the end of the story. And then they don't appear again for quite a while. Yep, if you're curious, they don't return again until after House of M. After a quick guest star spot in GLA number 2. Which I think was probably like a flashback. But yeah, they returned to this very book, which came out in, I think it was 05, roughly about a year later. So the whole story with this one is that Cloak is framed for attacking Dagger. And somehow Brian King Vaughan writes the Avengers be so dumb the fact they think that Cloak actually did this. So what does he do? He goes back and visits the Runaways. It's a quick, really good 4-parter. So he goes visit them and they bring him to New York, which they talk to the pastor that basically has been sheltering for years. Which, of course, technically no, this is a guy named Father Latham. Which, new character. But after this, he would not be seen again until a Marvel Voices one-shot. Which somehow dealt with Avengers Academy. So yeah, basically after this book he's featuring a digital book right after this one, but I think the church itself was something they were heavily let's see if I can find it here. And of course, New Avengers being like Iron Man, Captain America, Wolverine. Okay, this is St. Patrick's Cathedral, which apparently made his debut in issue of Planet of the Apes. The most of it was featuring other stuff aside from this book per se, but the whole thing with this book is that they do find out exactly who's responsible for this. And at one point, this is really cool. I thought it was really cool. The Runaways was interacting with Spider-Man. I thought it was a really cool concept. Brian came on writing Spider-Man for this issue, and I appreciate the fact he is not ready to be a hypocrite by telling him don't do this. But yeah, he started a teenager anyway, so basically he's on their side. And then he gets knocked out with magic for no reason. Like, why would you bring Spider-Man in and do nothing with him? I don't get it. I really, really don't. It was really weird. The story was called East/West Coast, but it was an excellent story arc. And then the Pride comes back somehow. I think it was like a new version of Pride. Yeah. But it was an excellent storyline when it comes to Cloak and Dagger. And then, like, right after this storyline wrapped up, then you're thinking, okay, so what did Cloak and Dagger do next? After this really good four-parter. So, if you're curious, okay, so what happened with them right after this amazing four-part storyline? They kind of took part in some Civil War stuff, and then they're featured in Dark Begin number 2, which they had a short story in that one. Which the whole thing with the story of issue 2 is kind of how Nora was recruiting part of the Dark X-Men. And eventually told me they betrayed the X-Men. And then came the Cloak and Dagger one-shot. Oh, because they were mutants, they can't be X-Men, so let's let all the X-Men be complete dicks to them for no reason. You're like, what the heck is this? Why in the world is Cloak and Dagger being treated as badly? Or they just quit the X-Men because of their poor treatment. Like, oh, because Cloak goes missing, nobody cares. Oh, by the way, this is on the whole Utopia stuff. And by the way, this is the first Cloak and Dagger book that had their name on it. This one-shot that was released. First time since 1991. Yes. 91. And this came out in 2010. Roughly almost 20 years afterwards. And if you're really curious, did they release another one? There's something related to Cloak and Dagger after this. They did. It was a mini-series in 2018. And mostly they get kidnapped by some other people per se. And then because of the events in this issue, they quit the X-Men to be part of the group for a very short period of time. I did not like of how Dr. Nemesis was written this issue. It's like, oh, they rather do other stuff than, let's say, help a friend. By the way, Stuart Moore himself, first book he wrote for Marvel, excellent volume number 12. His book's very sporadic, but most prominent book he worked on was New Avengers and Transformers. He did issues of Iron Man, Director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Wolverine Noir. He did more the first media. He wrote this book, which I have reviewed. He did Deadpool and the Duck. He did this sole Cloak and Dagger one-shot. This is the only time he wrote Cloak and Dagger. So, they leave and go back to New York because the X-Men apparently don't want him. It's like, what was the point of this one-shot coming out if you're just going to have him just leave? Yeah, so it's like, yeah, they're part of the X-Men very, very briefly. Like, about a year. They don't do much, per se. Not really, no. And then what happened next right after this one shot wrapped up? And then, of course, we had the Infestation stuff, which mostly they just included their tie-in here, where they just showed up, basically, to set up their own mini-series, which they actually reference the Cloak and Dagger one-shot in here. This book is not written by Stuart Woods, by Nick Spencer. Mostly they go back to their church, which apparently is being, apparently they plan to demolish it for some reason. Yeah, I'm not really sure why, but there is a significant thing with this miniseries. Because they get involved with Mr. Negative in this book. Yep, they do. Oh, the church they're part of? That was part of that first period Marvel Team number 6? Yeah, it gets demolished. They tore down a church to make room for a coffee bean. Yes, I think it was heavily part of Cloak and Dagger for years, and Nick Spencer decided to demolish it. Because it can. I don't really know why. They did mention the X-Men in this book, and their involvement with Spider Island is weird. Despite if it gets called Spider Cloak and Dagger, there's no fighting of spiders. It is mostly just them dealing with Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger just dealing with, the structure of church. Yeah, so basically they don't like having the church much, they do. So they kind of have a helpline. And it's they just don't really, despite the fact you have this whole Spider Island stuff going on, they don't really do anything at all because we have that Mr. Negative thrown in here, because of course we do. And, well, it looks like that Tandy's looking like a lawyer and gets involved with Cloak and Dagger in a very weird way. Where during the course of this book, Mr. Negative kind of fixed their powers, and then he switches them, where Tandy gets the power as a Cloak, and Tyrone gets power as a Dagger. By the end of this miniseries, and they kind of become his lackeys. Despite the fact being a tie-in to Spider-Man, it really has nothing to do with Spider-Man. It's basically just Cloak and Dagger, which I thought was quite interesting. And then, of course, basically, after this miniseries wrapped up, what exactly happened to them afterwards? Did they really do anything per se? Did they pop up in some event? What did Cloak and Dagger do once this book wrapped up? They later popped up in Superior Spider-Man Team Up. Actually, no. Well, it had Cloak pop up in Wolverine, but mostly the team itself. They next appeared in this issue of Spider-Man Team Up, where Spider-Man Team Up number 1, which that was kind of what they were doing after this, and that came out in 2013, which that was the first major thing they're involved with as a team, because Cloak was basically appearing Wolverine as far as with Romulus as the evolution story arc, and then we have this Spider-Man tie-in issues where it's this is where they reunite with Spider-Man, and it's when he finds out, and eventually by the annual their powers get fixed to where they were before, and what happened next? Well, they were loosely part of Secret Empire. They got in their mini-series, a digital book, and they were very sporadic. Then they became part of the Sad Avengers book by David Prowse, which, really cool idea. I love the fact they included part of this book. And then the book ended after 10 issues. And then they got part of the Kenny Spider-Man book, Luke Cage, Gang War, they're part of Blood Hunters. The most recent thing Cloak and Dagger followed is the brand new Sam Wilson Captain America book, which apparently is part of some legacy with Captain America for some reason. I don't get it. Yeah, but the annual itself kind of wraps that story up with them basically powers being fixed. The whole thing with the volume four stuff is that they go to China because Mr. Negative is there, and then the annual was not written by Dan, so by James Olmos. Interesting, but not really much else to say about this book. But it was really good. I really hope to review more Cloak and Dagger. I'm gonna give the book roughly a 10 out of 10. Because most of it I love doing the Cloak and Dagger stuff. But I think I may have reviewed one Cloak and Dagger book. Let me take a look here. Alright, here we go. Okay, I have done the Shades of Grey. I think that was I'm thinking that was volume 5. Okay, so the Shades of Grey, that was actually the Marvel digital book. Okay. Oh. Actually, that was the, Me. Let's see here. So I'm thinking because I reviewed Shades of Grey, which I think with this I've kind of in a way covered volume 5 for the book. Yep, I have done that one. I think that's like the only thing I have covered for Cloak and Dagger, just volume 5. Alright, so what's next? Well, we have Marvel Zombies The Complete Collection Book 1. I have reviewed other stuff for Marvel Zombies past. I reviewed Marvel Zombies 3, The Complete Collection, Marvel Zombies 2, Marvel Zombies 5, the original miniseries, Age of Ultron vs. Marvel Zombies, Marvel Zombies Battle World. So I covered several stuff for them. So this book does collect the original miniseries for Marvel Zombies, but I'm not covering that because it's discussed already. This book does collect Ultimate Fantastic 4 issues 21-23, 30-32 of the book, of course, the original Marvel Zombies miniseries, Marvel Zombies Dead Days, Black Panther, I believe this is volume 4, issues 20-30, and material from Marvel Spotlight, Marvel Zombies Mystical Arcane. So the writers of these issues are Mark Millar, writer Kurt Kirkman, and Rachel Holland. Mark Millar writes Ultimate Fantastic 4. Robert Kirkman does the Marvel Zombies miniseries and Dead Days one-shot. which I'll get to in a minute. Original Holland, this is Black Panther book. You have ours by Greg Land, who does the Fantastic Four stuff. Sean Phillips, Francis Prehier, and Mitch Brettweiser. The cover artist is Art Dessa, which I'm going to get a chance to meet him. So, the Ultimate Fantastic Four issues is weird. So, first you have Ultimate, the Thing, basically Thing, Human Torch, and Sue Storm just capturing hackers who are traveling through history. Oh yeah, now we're talking about Greg Land. Also, for some reason, Sue Storm's outfit basically has shown up a little midriff. It's the Ultimate Universal, why not? And of course, Ultimate Captain America episode here with Ultimate Iron Man, which, yeah, and also we have to have this one shot. Oh, we gotta show off this person's rear end. Who knows? It could be a guy or a girl. I don't know. At the press conference, they showed the fantastic car, and despite the fact, basically, it's like, oh, the whole thing is like, we have Dr. Franklin Storm, who, and then we have the whole thing, we have Sue and Reed, that they're kind of basically an item in this book, despite the fact that this doesn't go anywhere when the book wraps up. And then he's like, okay, so he's like, oh, he can't go to the whole side with the end zone, but he has been contacted with the universe, and presumably he got contacted with 616. But then he goes, visit place, and it's not 616. And talking to Reed Richards for a while, he ends up in a zombie universe. Yep, where people are dead and the superheroes are zombies. And the first thing he sees is a zombie Fantastic Four. Yep. I think the original plan was to I heard something that the original plan was to have Ultimate Rangers meet his counterpart in 616, but that ultimately didn't happen. So basically, they kind of explain of how in the world got like this. The Century crashed down from space, had a virus, bit everybody, and allowed them to turn into zombies, so I percent Black Panther. So, and by the way, this Zombie Fantastic Four would actually escape the universe, go to the Ultimate Universe, and they kind of become the Ultimate Fantastic Four. Yes, they appear in the follow-up storyline, and they don't do much after that. Yeah, it's like the whole purpose of this bringing them in was bringing the zombie ones, go over there, and then this book led into the original Marvel Zombie miniseries. That's kind of what this book was. It's the last set for it, because Magneto helps basically the Fantastic Four help escape the universe. So then they're trapped, and then of course basically by the end of the book, they go back to number 4, and well, then the book ends with basically Sue's mom showing up, and then we have the Marvel Zombie miniseries, which discusses already. Moving on. Dead Days is set the day before this whole stuff happened, and it's all focused on Spider-Man. And then the whole thing with the Ultimate Fantastic Four 30-32 is that the Zombie Fantastic Four are trapped in the Baxter building. Well, the Ultiverse Baxter building, and they chat with them for a while. They're of course eating stuff. They eventually do escape their cell, and they're basically just for doing their own thing. They apparently don't know what's going on in the Baxter building. They apparently have no idea. And there's a whole thing here with Doctor Doom. It's like you read this book, and it's like that the whole thing with the Ultimate Four, they're basically a B plot in a story involving Doctor Doom and the Inhumans. Yeah, and this is how Ultimate Doctor Doom looks like. Yes. And that's kind of in the way what happens over the course of these 3 issues. It just continued what's going on in Ultimate Fantastic Four at the time. It's still really good stuff, and I love what Mark Millar does with this book. But it's almost like you read this book, it's like, yeah, I guess very more interested with the zombies than they are with basically just what the Fantastic Four up to. And the book ends on a cliffhanger because, of course, we have to focus on the Marvel Zombies here. And then, we're thinking, what happens next? Well, next comes the Black Panther issues, where basically the whole thing of this one is that we have, well, Black Panther and Storm have taken Reed and Sue's place, part of the team, and they're kind of, now, apparently, the Galactic guy, basically the Marvel Zombies who ate Galactus. They come to this world, and then they kind of battle them, and then of course they leave. The zombie virus is very contained here. Also, Lyra, Giant Storm XY pops up in these 3 issues. It's like everything is done in 3. And it's got absolutely no way to win. And then pretty much after this whole thing wraps up, and then we have the Dead Days one-shot, which is done by Robert Kirkman. Which the whole thing with this one is basically all focused on Spider-Man. It's like just after the flashback, but before before the present that we see Ultimate Fantastic Four number 21. That's kind of what this one shot does. It does explore what happened just prior to that, and how everyone gets else affected, and that's the book itself. Yes, the back of the book is that is all. Now, a lot of these covers are nods to like classic covers. This is for All Amazing X-950, which is the debut of the Kingpin. This one is Ultimate X. This is X number 1. Excuse me, but super really good stuff here. Also in the Black Panther issues, he meets his counterpart from Marvel Zombie Universe via screen stuff. And he's with the Wasp. Well, a version of the Wasp who is not a zombie. But actually not the Wasp. It was I think it was Amelia, I think it was. Yes, Amelia Vought, who was part of the Acolytes. Yeah, and also in the Marvel Zombies book, Magneto gets killed off in the first issue. But good book overall. I give it a 9 out of 10. The thing with Marvel Zombies is readers have basically defined its peak as the period of 2005 to 2007. Marvel just keeps pumping these books like crazy. To the point where sometimes you might go a little while between miniseries per se, but at least Marvel doesn't have an ongoing Marvel Zombies book. Not really, no. Now you might be asking, have I covered a lot of Marvel Zombies at this point? So for the complete collections, well, I've only covered 1 and 2. 1 and 3. I have covered those 2 so far. Which 2 had Prime 8, Eve Evolution, Marvel Zombies 5, which I covered a separate trade for that one. Marvel Zombies Supreme, Destroyed, Halloween. I have covered Marvel Zombies 2. I don't think I've covered 3. Oh yeah, I have covered 3. How about 4? 5 I know I have. Yeah, 4 I have covered. The Return. This one, I don't think I covered this one. So, I think of the main books, just Marvel's on the Return. I have not covered that one yet. That miniseries. I have covered Battle World, Marvel's Battle World, Age of Ultron vs. Marvel Zombies. I think it just basically also Marvel Zombies is just Marvel Zombies versus the... Well, Marvel can't really collect this because basically Crush War Dynamite. Marvel Zombies versus Age of... Army of Darkness. Christmas Carol. I think I've covered this one already. No, I haven't. So I have a few of these series left to go, but one thing else, this book, I get to cover some issues of Ultimate Fantastic Four, which is nice. Yep. But yeah, that's particularly a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do this like button. There may or may not be another video later on, but these are only 2 comic corners that are ready to go right now. No new anime right now, but there might be some more soon. Okay? You feel? Bye.